Good afternoon, friends. Today I'm Nishant Pant, and we are going to learn about problem plurals with foreign words. The first word that I'm taking up is criteria and criterion. Now, I've often heard people misusing criteria. Even when they are talking about one thing, they say criteria. No, criteria is plural of criterion. So the only criterion for selection is merit. See, I'm talking about one condition. So the only criterion for selection is merit. The two criteria are merit and seniority. So if you're talking about more than one condition, you will say criteria, otherwise criterion. Now there are certain words in Latin, alright, that end in A and they take AE to become plural. So larva, larvae, alumina, aluminae, vertebra, vertebrae. Just remember these three very typical usages. Latin plus English, amoeba becomes amoebae or amoebas. Formula becomes formulas or formulae. Cicada becomes cicadas or cicadae. Trachea becomes tracheas or tracheae. Right? So with more reading you will understand which are the ones which do not take an S. So they are asked, they can be tested at a very higher level, so don't worry too much about them. However, most of them would take either an S or an AE. But these three typical ones, larva, larvae, alumina, aluminae, and vertebra, vertebrae, just remember three of them. LAV, lav. Stigma. Now, stigma is, it has two meanings. One is stigma means some kind of a mark or some kind of sores or wounds, right? For example, when Christ was crucified, so he had stigmata on his body. So stigmata refers to marks or sores, right? And stigmas means the central part of the flower that receives pollen, right? So stigmas, when you say stigmas, right, it's the plural of the central part of the flower. So you will say child marriage and widow burning were the stigmata on Indian society, right? And the stigmas of plants are responsible for making their food. Paraphernalia. Paraphernalia, although it looks plural, it's a Greek plural in fact, but it is used in a very singular sense. Just remember this, okay? So when we talk about paraphernalia, we say, for example, if I say all this computer paraphernalia occupies a lot of space. All right? Now there are certain words in French which end in EAU, OU or IEU. So if they are written in French, they end in an X. If they are written in English, they can either take an X or an S, right? So bow becomes box or bows. Chateau becomes chateaux or chateaus, right? So just remember this, all right? So you might encounter them as UX or US, right? So we'll go ahead now. Analysis versus analysis. So analysis, SIS is singular, SES is plural. The same happens with axis and axis, crisis and crisis, diagnosis and diagnosis. I would really want you to look up the meanings in the dictionary. Please do that. Matrix becomes matrices or matrices. Apex becomes apexes or apices. Vortex becomes vortices or vortexes. Suffix becomes suffixes or suffices. So either XES or ES, both would do. Alright, again, the meanings of these words must be looked up in the dictionary by you, right? They are very commonly used words, many of them, like suffix, matrix, apex, vortex, all are commonly used. Now I'm coming to appendix. Appendix has two meanings, right? But let me explain the meanings by looking at the plurals. So when I say appendix and appendices, I am referring to the appendix in a book, the list of references they give over there, right? So appendix, appendices. And another appendix means a growth in a body. So its plural is appendixes, right? Appendixes refers to the appendixes in the body. Appendicitis, have you heard of that term, appendicitis, right? So it talks about having an appendix in your body, and the plural would be appendixes. Now coming to index and indices. Index, the plural, when we are talking about index in terms of statistical reflections, right? So I would say indices. Index, indices also is referred in statistical reflections, right? And indexes is also accepted. So when we are talking about numbers, we can say indices or indexes. But when we are talking about listings at the end of a book, then we'll just say indexes, we'll not say indices. If I say indices over there, it will be wrong. Okay? So with the book, remember, it will be indexes, and with mathematics, it could be indices or indexes. Italian words, easy to do. Solo, right? Solos. Tempo, tempos. Virtuoso, virtuosos. Mafioso, mafiosi. Palazzo, palazzi. So look up the meanings of all these words again. You'll be increasing your vocabulary. Phenomenon, phenomena. This school has become one of the experimental learning phenomenons. When I'm talking about wonderment, so I will say phenomenons of the last decade. And phenomenon, it could be used as phenomenon also, or phenomenons, because I'm saying one of the experimental learning, so it will be phenomenons, right? But it will be using a singular verb when we talk about wonderment. But when I talk about phenomena as natural facts, right, happenings, occurrences, then I would say these phenomena have puzzled scientists. Phenomena. Okay. Now there are certain words in Latin which end in an So bacterium, plural is bacteria. Erratum is errata. Let me explain this erratum to you. Erratum is the for example, if you have made a mistake in print, it's called corrigendum, right? And the plural is corrigenda. So when you want to make a list of that corrigenda or corrigendum, you will put an erratum. If you are putting one single item, it will be erratum. If you are putting more than one item, it will be errata. So it's not errors, it's the list of errors that you are putting up. Memorandum, memoranda, right? Curriculum, curricula, right? Stadium, stadia, or stadiums also is used these days, but focus on using stadia in formal English. Stadia. Virus, viruses. Radius of circle, radiuses or radii. Alumnus, the plural is alumni, right? Fungus, the plural is fungi. Stimulus, stimuli. So just remember these, right? And keep on reading as much as you can. Then only would you have some kind of a command over them. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Thank you very much.